I think it was a great honor to be the only actor that was really from the area where they were telling this story from. The thing about this story, though, is it's about methamphetamine and drug dealing, and it's bigger than that. It's about a journey of a man's life and a man's story. But when you talk about that problem that we're having in the United States, it's just not a New Mexico problem. It's a whole United States kind of problem. So that really could have taken place anywhere. They could have told that story anywhere, the same story. But it was an honor that they, picked Albuquerque, and that I was one of the actors that they felt that they wanted someone who was from there and spoke with that type of accent and had that kind of mannerisms of what Albuquerque was about. And I'd been there, born and raised there, and so to play a cop and play a good guy in a really kind of bad, series was, I think, a better honor for me. Being a Latino actor, we tend to play a lot of the bad guys and the drug dealers. And what's cool now in American television is starting to look at Latinos as cops and doctors and lawyers and regular people. And so to be one of those actors to take that next step and take us to another level is even a bigger honor than actually being on a show that's so special. I was a big Jesse Pinkman fan. I wanted him to get away. I wanted him to, I thought if they kill Jesse, I'm going to be so pissed off at Breaking Bad that I won't watch it ever again. And so I was sort of Team Jesse, I wanted Walt to die. He was a bad guy. He was a bad person. I don't think Jesse ever was a bad person. Even when he tried to be a bad person, he couldn't be a bad person. He's a good person. And his essence, who he was inside, was a good person. And so I loved Jesse. I loved how Aaron Paul played Jesse. And so out of all the characters, I loved that character. And I loved Hank because he was my partner and I had his back and he had my back. Yeah. I think that Hollywood's starting to be a little bit more inclusive. I think this is the cool thing. What I love more than anything is I love independent filmmakers and I love cable television, because with those two people or those two entities, we're able to tell real stories about real life, about real people. And I think that if we just left it up to the big studios, they would still be selling us the exact same stuff. And I think people are done with that, really. I mean, there's still like a niche for it, but I think the real storytellers, telling real stories about real people, are those types of people in the industry. And so it's important that we show things that reflect really real life. And when you look if you go to the United States, like you've been to the United States, you see all these different nationalities and all these cultures existing together, and we do, and we just realize that we're all just people. I think it's important that we continue down that path and open up the door for more filmmakers and more people who create and write TV series and be more inclusive to multicultural stuff. And I think we're headed that way, and that's the good news. I do not. I'm not involved in that part of the. It's a whole other show. It's not Breaking Bad. It's there's some of the same producers, some of the same writers. There's talk that we all will come and make an appearance, but that won't be until the second season. The first season, I believe, and I don't know this, but I believe is more about developing and introducing us to the beginning of who Saul Goodman is and how he becomes who he is, and also Mike Ehrmantraut, which is the cleaner, Jonathan Banks' character, and he's also one of the main actors in this. So they're looking at him and where he comes from, because he's a very great, interesting character in Breaking Bad. That I thought people fell in love with him, and they loved him and they kind of connected to him, even though he was another bad guy doing bad things. And so I think that's what the whole first season's about. You got to talk about. So we're talking about cable television where they only do 12 or 13 episodes. It's not like network where they do 20, 22, 23. And so they only have so much time per season to put that out. But, you know, I think that we all at one point will be coming and doing a guest appearance. And I would love to. It'd be a great honor. I love Bob Odenkirk. He's a great person, a great man, and he deserves this break. Well, you know, I'm involved in politics. I help get a lot of people elected. I raise money. I speak on their behalf, depending on what they believe in. And so I feel that, you know, the democracy is something that we can save. It just depends on who we put in office. So I'm connected in that way. I sit on the school board, which we make decisions on education within the state and within Albuquerque Public Schools. I'm a school board member. So people, it's an elected office, but I don't find I'm not a politician. I'm not a, you know, I'm just not. But I believe that we need to change how we teach in the United States, and that we need more project-based learning, and I think that's what saved me. People ask me why I became an actor. I said, because the first time I did a project-based thing was a play. You know, I felt it, I touched it, I was involved in it. I helped build the sets, I was a part of it. And I fell in love with it because it was the first time I felt I'd ever learned anything. I was one of those kids that couldn't read. I didn't read a chapter and retain it and take a test because I wasn't good at it. And because I wasn't good at that, you know, they would set me up for failure. They would say, oh, you're going to be a loser. You're not going to amount to nothing. You're going to end up in prison. You're going to end up dead. You know, because I grew up in the barrio. Where I grew up is hard neighborhoods. They weren't nice neighborhoods. Not a good place to live and not a good place to grow up. It's just a part of what's bad about the United States. And I didn't want the next generation to feel that way or grow up that way. So I got involved in education because I wanted to change how the United States looks at education and how we need to offer more choices for kids. You know, you'd be amazed at how many kids really know what they want to do at a young age, and we should have those opportunities for them at that time. And so that's a huge thing for me. I'm very involved in that, and that's my goal, to change that.